Hi and welcome to another video. The first episode of the story begins upon a training instructor returning to the Leaf Village and spotting Naruto's run. Then observes the ANBU's sloppiness and wonders, now, what happens when a drill sergeant chooses to correct the errors, sort the mess and toss the hammer on the Leaf's foes? I survived the chief, what might you do? Show your support by liking and subscription to. Now let's begin. He did not notice the boy until said boy was halfway done vandalizing the Hokage monument. That, in itself, impressed him, more so was that no one else noticed till after the boy was done and set off a small smoke bomb just to get the village's attention. What followed was a run the likes of which the man had not seen in years. Part of him was greatly impressed as the boy outran, dodged, maneuvered and outthought the elite ANBU, skilled and seasoned jonin, and many, many chunin. Of course, the other part of him was enraged. Not at the boy, but at the ANBU. How could his elite ANBU, many he trained personally, have let themselves get so sloppy as to let the boy outwit them so easily? The boy had a skill, there was no doubt, and the observer would not take it away from him. But the elite shinobi should not be outsmarted that easily. He watched the blonde and knew who the kid was the moment he saw that shade of blonde hair. He watched as the boy ducked down an alleyway. He saw that the kid let the Chunin Academy instructor catch him, and he watched as the boy smiled and laughed and joined said instructor for a bowl of ramen. The observer then went to the records room at the academy and looked up the boy's records. What he found made no sense, on paper the boy was less than useless. He made copies of all the graduating students' records and quickly snuck into the teacher's lounge. He observed the teachers talk, and what he learned tempted him to break his cover as well as their necks. Decades of training in the art of infiltration taught him enough self-control not to do either, but he was severely tested. His next stop was a lone teacher squirreled away in his private office. The teacher Mizuki was asleep, his head was resting on his desk. The observer performed a mind-reading jutsu that the Yamanakas taught him. What he learned tempted him to kill, again. This creep planned to use Naruto to steal a scroll from the Hokage's tower and then frame the boy for treason or outright kill him. Instead of killing the traitor, the observer came up with a plan on the spot. This village would not know what hit them. You passed him? A counselor asked shocked. Even after he stole a scroll from your personal quarters? Yes, impressive don't you think? The Hokage asked as he took a few victory puffs from his pipe. Lord Hokage, you can't be serious. We can't let him represent Konoha as a shinobi, he will be an embarrassment. The boy could barely pass, and he shows no outright skill other than making trouble. The counselor had taken a different approach to attacking Naruto, knowing how the Hokage favored the boy. The Hokage sat there and frowned. He opened his mouth was about to reply. 168, a voice broke the silence. Everyone froze. Although they couldn't describe the person who spoke, some sort of jutsu or genjutsu hit him, they knew that voice. Hiruzen reached into his desk and pulled out an old dusty calendar where he checked the date. You're late, your banishment ended 7 days ago, the old man spoke. I have been here, I was taking care of the paperwork for the last 10 years. The Sandaime Hokage just nodded. Welcome home Kuzai. 168. The number of ANBU, Jonin, and Chunin the boy was able to outsmart and outrun, not to mention the fact that no one saw him paint the monument until after he was done. You say he has no skills but causing trouble? Kuzai said as he looked at the still silent men. How many missions have we done that involved sabotage? You know, sneak in raise hell sneak out without getting caught. The boy is a natural. He continued. Regardless, his grades in the academy were the lowest, he is the dead last. He can't even perform a simple clone jutsu. No Uzumaki will ever be able to perform the simple clone. It's written in the Academy Teacher's Guide, their chakra reserves are too large. Everyone saw the Sandaime blush before clearing his throat. That is correct. Since he is an Uzumaki, then by the rules, I should have checked his chakra reserves. And if they were found to be at a certain level, he was supposed to be given access to one of his family jutsu. Kuzai finished and stared down the men and women in the room. Family jutsus? A woman Chunin asked confused. Yes, a jutsu invented by the Uzumaki clan as their primary training tool. The reason they were so powerful. Which jutsu? Said a Chunin with a scar on his nose. Kuzai recognized the Chunin as the only academy instructor worth his rank and pay, Irika Yumano. Shadow clone jutsu. It was customary for young students between 8 and 10 to start training with the clones in Yuzu. Tobarama Senju the Nidame invented the shadow clone jutsu. Kuzai just stared at the Chunin. Says who? Before the Chunin could reply, the Hokage cleared his throat. The Nidame did not invent the jutsu, but he did convince Mito Senju, born Mito Uzumaki, to share the jutsu with Konohagakure. They were silent for a few minutes as Kuzai just smirked at the old man. So that is why, Irika started, and when most looked at him. The shadow clone jutsu was what he used to beat Mizuki. Yes, Kuzai interrupted, that was how he could learn and use the skills so quickly. And with such power, that jutsu is literally in his blood. Wait a minute, the Hokage spoke, did you know about Mizuki's plan beforehand? Kuzai just smiled, of course. I wanted to see what the kid could do, especially with all the sabotage to his training at the academy. There was no sabotage, the demon brat. The head academy instructor started to yell when he was silenced by the massive killing intent that radiated from the Hokage. What kind of sabotage? The Hokage asked calmly as he stared at his soon-to-be the former head instructor. Kuzai just stood and waited, smirking, but said nothing. He noticed Irika was blushing in shame and anger. Shame that he did not notice Naruto's need for extra chakra control lessons, and anger that anyone would abuse their duty as a teacher. Many of the other instructors were starting to sweat. Some knew about the sabotage and were worried that they would also be punished. The head instructor wanted to quietly slip away but couldn't, as Kuzai never took his eye off of him. That place is a mess, a new voice rang out as someone else walked into the room. Most of the people in the room including Irika really started to sweat when they noticed the scarred face of Ibiki Marino. Was I right? Kuzai asked calmly. More than I thought possible, the bastard was working for and planned to give the scroll to Orochimaru, Ibiki replied. Irika is also cleared. At the mention of his name, the Chunin looked up. Irika stay, Hiruzen spoke calmly, the rest of you will head to T&I, Ibiki will be there to speak with you, and if any of you try to resist, I will send Kuzai for you. Note that he has been our chief assassin for close to 40 years. Dismissed. As the group stood and left, fearful of what was in store for them, Kuzai, Ibiki and the Hokage just waited. Irika was the one sweating. When the last person left, Kuzai performed a hand sign and the obscuring jutsu was broken. Now that Irika had a good view, he saw a man who initially appeared in his 40s, though Irika could tell by Kuzai's body language that he had far more experience and wisdom than his appearance showed. Kuzai had the look of the traders from the West, short hair, a long black leather coat and round glasses with side covers. Irika could not see his eyes, but the overall impression was of an average man. So, average that Kuzai could probably blend into any crowd and no one would notice him. Uzumaki, Ibiki handed a folder to the Hokage, was not the only one affected by tampering. The Hokage took a long look at the file before handing it to Irika, who paled at the information. What? How can we fix this? Did any of the students know? The Chunin asked as he read. No, they appear to be innocent. I will know for sure after I speak with the rest of the teachers, Ibiki replied calmly. So what, do we hold them back, retest them, punish them for their teachers? Irika asked, not sure how he felt about that. No, Kuzai replied. But we can fix this problem, or rather I can fix this, if you agree to it, Lord Hokage. Kuzai, you have been an ANBU instructor for many years, the chief instructor for the ANBU training camp, Hiruzen started. But we are at peacetime. When was the last time you trained students this young? Itachi, was the elite's reply. But I do understand your concern, a fool I am not. I can train them to match their skills and age, and I will have my with me to make sure I do not cross the line. The Hokage just nodded. What do you need? Delay the team selection an extra week, he replied. Kuzai looked at his watch and glanced at Irika. Send out a notice to all who passed. 2 days from now is a mandatory training day for all students. 10 in the morning will be fine. The Hokage and Irika both nodded. Anything else? I want Nico to help, without her mask. Also, Kuzai looked at the silent Ibiki. I want Anko. Hiruzen was concerned. Anko is not the best with children. Are you sure? You have a lot of fangirls pretending to be kunoichi. Anko can and will weed them out. We cannot punish them for their teachers, but we can wake them up to the truth. No one spoke. Kuzai grabbed the list of students that passed and started writing as he waited. Irika returned to reading the report while Hiruzen smoked his pipe and stared at his elite assassin ANBU instructor. How long will you need Anko for your training camp? Ibiki asked calmly. About a week. That should weed out the weak and give those that pass time to rest, Kuzai replied calmly, and for the record, I believe only these 9 will make it. The rest couldn't possibly pass due to either lack of skill, desire, or just plain stupidity. Handing the list to the Hokage. The Hokage just nodded. Are we done? For tonight, but know this boy, as he looked at the aged Hokage. You made a lot of mistakes while I was gone. I can fix most of them, but I am not done busting your balls. It was 6 the morning, the day after his fight with Mizuki, and Naruto woke up groggy and tired. Just as he finished his morning routine, a knock came from the door. Quickly moving to check the peephole, he smiled as he opened the door. Gigi? Naruto, this is Jonin Kuzai, the old man. He wishes to speak with you. May we come in? Naruto nodded as he watched the new man. Kuzai wore a long black trench coat, buttoned closed. His face and hair seemed plain yet neat. His glasses were round, dark, and had side guards that made it impossible for anyone to see his eyes. It reminded Naruto a lot of Shino and the Aburame clan. So, Naruto started looking between the two. What did you? Kushina Uzumaki, the man started. That was your mother's name. She was a hell of a powerful shinobi and one of the best bare-handed fighters I had seen in a long time. Naruto was shocked. No one, not even the old man, had actually told him about his parents. Either of them. Her name was kept from you due to her enemies. As an Uzumaki, she was wanted dead by many in Kumo, Iwa, and Kiri. For the record, I understand the need to secrecy, but I did not agree with the plan to keep this information away from you. As a shinobi of the leaf, understand that you can't tell anyone about her yet. Naruto stared at the man, then at his adopted grandfather, then back at the man and nodded. Your father had more enemies than your mother, so no, I cannot tell you about him yet. Know that he was a damn strong ninja and a good man. Never let anyone speak badly about him. Again, Naruto nodded. As much as he wanted to know, something told him that the info could and probably would kill him if he knew now. The Jonin admitted to knowing who his father was. He hadn't tried to lie and pretend he didn't know. The strange Jonin had also made it clear that Naruto's father had a ton of enemies. For now, the lack of a name did not bother him. Naruto, the Hokage started. After the incident with Mizuki, we looked more closely at all of the instructors at the academy. You and many other students were cheated in your training, the man interrupted. None of you should have passed. However, we cannot punish you for your teacher's failures. In order to make sure everyone is trained correctly, you and your class will be put through a special training camp the day after tomorrow at 10 a.m. This camp will help you prepare for your team selection and final test. What test? Naruto replied as he picked up that detail. You're not a ninja yet. No one is a ninja until they have passed a final test set by their jonin instructor. Although nobody could see Kuzai's eyes, Naruto got the distinct impression he was glaring at the Hokage. Telling you that you are a ninja of the village after passing the academy tests is something I never agreed with. So, is that why you are here? You wanted to tell me about this training camp? Naruto asked. No, an official letter will be sent to all the students, the Hokage replied. We are here because Kuzai plans to give you a jump start to your training. Since your education was sabotaged the most, we decided that you need some extra help. Naruto looked half thrilled at extra training and half skeptical as he stared at the jonin. He was the head instructor for the ANBU for many years. He has been out of the village for over 10 years. Hiruzen began to say. My training will make you stronger, the Kuzai bluntly interrupted. Naruto began to smile his trademark grin but then stopped. That was the second time that the jonin had interrupted the Hokage. Despite the fact that he was getting answers, Naruto did not like anyone disrespecting his Gigi. Is it not rude to disrespect the Hokage like that? Sure, I tease and prank him constantly, but he knows I do it with total respect despite what anyone else sees. You. Naruto, Kuzai is older than me, the Hokage spoke up. He is one of my former teachers and has been one of my biggest critics for longer than you have been alive. He knows when to respect me. To be a good Hokage you will need a friend and an advisor that has the ability to speak to you as an equal, and Kuzai is one of mine. Naruto was not sure how to respond, so he just growled and went to get dressed. Meet at training ground 93, I will be there soon. The jonin said as Naruto nodded again and headed out the door. The two older men followed him at a slow pace as they walked down the hall. I guess we are done for this morning, the Hokage asked. No, I have one more thing to tell you. With a sigh the old ninja turned to face Kuzai, only to see a fist at the last second. The punch dropped Hiruzen hard and he felt the bones of his nose breaking. Kuzai stood over the Hokage. That, Lord Hokage, was for disregarding my warning and giving that damn snake a genin team. You better think real hard starting now. I can fix most of your past mistakes, but if you make any more I won't wait for your enemies to deal with you, I will kill you myself. Naruto watched his strange new teacher walk into the clearing. The man watched the boy calmly as he unbuttoned a few buttons on his coat in order to give himself more room for his legs to move. We will spar now, taijutsu only. Give me everything you have. If you can knock me off my feet, I will pay for all your ramen for the next 30 days. Naruto attacked hard, but Kuzai easily blocked his first punch and threw him away. Naruto managed to flip around and land feet first on a tree, which he used to launch another attack. That set the pattern for the sparring session. The jonin noticed that Naruto could take a hit and get right back up, so he started to hit harder and harder each time. The boy just would not stay down. Naruto's forms were so sloppy it was almost embarrassing, but Kuzai was impressed with his talent for improvisation, not that Naruto ever came close to actually landing a hit. Naruto was only a little upset. He realized that this was his first time sparring with someone outside of class and if he was honest he was enjoying it. It was fun, even when he missed a punch and Kuzai punched him in the back of the head, driving his face down into the grass. Soon there was a ding and Kuzai motioned for a stop. What? Why? Naruto asked, breathing a little hard but still able to go. We have just sparred for 1 hour, I have learned what I needed, Kuzai replied, shocking Naruto with the time. Now it is time to improve on what you can do. Show me your shadow clone jutsu and make 10 clones. Making the hand sign he shouted the words. 12 clones appeared. Kuzai did not say anything, he just made the same sign and 3 of his own clones appeared without a sound or smoke. He looked at the clones, you 5 with him, you 3 with him and you 4 with him, he told Naruto's clones. He told his own. You know your orders. Kuzai's clones nodded and took their assigned clones into the woods. Now, that clone jutsu is special. Everything they learn you will learn when they dispel. Shadow clones have been a primary teaching tool for many years. Yes, they are good in combat since they know everything you know and can fight as well as you do, but your clan primarily use them for their ability in training. I have a clan? Naruto asked shocked. Had. You had a clan, though they were wiped out many years ago. As far as we know you are the last, but now is not history class. I will make sure you learn the truth soon. Naruto wanted to ask more questions but stopped and waited. Now of all the things your clones can do, one thing you and only you can improve on is your physical conditioning. Here the man got an evil smile. Sit-ups start. Naruto got down and started. He was slow and sluggish and... How many? Naruto asked after a few minutes. The man took a meditative seat and breathed out to relax, till I'm tired. He was not joking. Naruto continued to do sit-ups for what felt like hours. He was panting, grunting, groaning and hurting. He even stopped twice to throw up. Kuzai only asked if he had got it all up and told him to continue. Then the ding interrupted them both. That's 2 hours, switch to push-ups. When it dings again start jumping squats, Kuzai ordered. Naruto obeyed. Although he was sore and hurting, he really wasn't tired. He also felt the pride that comes from was getting a good workout. After the final ding, Naruto stopped and was almost ready to collapse to the ground. Stretch out so you don't cramp up, Kuzai spoke as he handed a water bottle to the boy. Naruto just nodded as he took a drink and stretched. The silence was starting to grow. He had been silent for hours, and anyone that knew the blonde knew it would not last. You know a lot about me, Naruto started, do you know about? And the boy trailed off not sure how to mention it. The fox? Kuzai asked. When Naruto nodded he continued, I know more about that fox than anyone alive at the moment. Naruto looked at him waiting. I am old enough that I was there during the battle between Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju at the Valley of the End. I watched as the fox was sealed into a person, called a Jinchuriki. That person was Mito Senju, who was born Mito Uzumaki. Naruto was shocked by that. What I am telling you can't be bragged about or boasted about. There are people in this village that would either try to use you for their schemes or outright kill you. That's another reason the knowledge of your family was kept secret. Naruto stopped again, I understand, and if people knew I'm sure they would treat me better only because of my ancestor, and not because I had earned their respect. I want to be respected for my own achievements, not theirs. Good, now back to the fox. I have spent a lot of my life studying demons and the fox is probably the most powerful and most corrupted of them all. Hatred and cruelty have warped his mind. Here Kuzai stopped and looked out into the woods as if he was remembering something. He remembered what it was like before Madara showed the world just how big of an ass he truly was. He was thinking about how the fox used to search out evil and hate-filled humans. The fox attacked them, as he tried to preserve its father's dream. Kuzai-sensei? Naruto asked concerned. Chief. Call me Chief, he replied, I am the Chief Instructor for the ANBU training camp. Are you okay, Chief? You went quiet, Naruto asked. The Nine-Tails, who has a name though I will not tell it to you, has been abused and hunted and harmed by humans for many years. His outlook seems to have turned dark. The best thing you can do is be respectful of him. He is not a mindless killing machine but a creature of the world, with dreams and feeling and desires just like you. That is not to say he won't try to hurt you. He is a prisoner and no prisoner likes their cage. He will try to trick you so he can escape. It is not the time for that yet, just remember that no prisoner likes their cage. Here Kuzai stopped, shifting his head to the side. Okay, the first of your clones are about to dissipate, get ready. Naruto nodded and stood up. It did not take long before he felt a rush of information. Next, he walked over to a tree and started to walk up to it slowly. Once he was certain of his footing, he began to go faster. "Cool, this is awesome," he shouted as he ran up the tree and along the underside of a branch before jumping and flipping to land on his feet. Then a second rush hit him. When he looked around, he could not find any water, but that was okay since he had not yet mastered that training. "We can walk on water?" he asked, shocked. "Yes, it is a basic but very important skill. Once you have learned both tree and water walking, I will teach you how to fight using both. Woohoo, I will be stronger." The Sasuke team in No. Naruto was quickly silenced by a slap to the back of his head. He glared up at the man, only to be frozen by a glance. "Focus. You are a shinobi of the leaf, there are more important things than who is stronger. In fact, who is stronger is a playground game that has no place anywhere but the playground. You have a long way to go and much to learn as you grow. That game is over starting now." The growl in his voice made it clear that Kuzai was serious about this, and even the somewhat stupid blonde knew not to argue it. Okay, the third group should be about ready. Again, Naruto got ready. This time the rush came harder and he stared out into the woods for a moment. He started to perform a kata, working through each step slowly. When he made a mistake, Naruto would stop, correct his position, and then continue. He did not master it right away, but now he could see his mistakes and how to correct them. It made Naruto realize, without a doubt, that the chief could and would make him a better ninja. "Go to the bathhouse. I want you to soak good and long. Your body will be sore, and tomorrow we will do this again. Meet me here at the same time." And with that Kuzai vanished. Naruto did not know what to think, so he just followed his orders. Kakashi Hatake sat on the memorial stone as he read his book. He was reading it to all the friends he had lost so they would not miss out on the golden literature. As he turned a page, he realized that someone was squatting down on the rock behind him. The copy ninja closed his book and put it in his vest. He drew a kunai and the fight was on. It was the most one-sided fight the ANBU captain had ever been in. He could not hit the person. Hell, he couldn't even see him. Yet this guy, and he was sure it was male, would hit him hard, over and over and over again. After the third time his face was planted into the large rock, Kakashi lifted his Hitai 8 and revealed his 3 Tomo Sharingan. That only made the attacks come harder, faster, and nastier. He could not move, attack, defend, or even breathe. What was worse was that he could not track his attacker. "Wait, there is no intent," Kakashi thought to himself. There was only one time anyone had ever handed him his ass this badly without any malicious intent. His face was again slammed into the rock. "Greetings, Chief, welcome back," Kakashi spoke as he slowly stood and re-hit his eye. The man just stared at the copy ninja as he waited. "When did you return?" Kakashi asked, reaching his feet. "My banishment ended 7 days ago. I am not happy with what I learned in those 7 days." Kakashi did not reply, he knew better. This man was not one to piss off, and if you somehow managed to do that, Kami have mercy, because Kuzai wouldn't. "Naruto Uzumaki is Kushina's son," Kuzai started to speak. "The day you die, I have no doubt the first people you will meet will be his parents, both of them." Kakashi did not speak. He knew he was in trouble. His inability to care for the boy, even from the shadows, warranted whatever beating the boy's parents would deliver. At that moment the copy ninja felt the first drops of rain start and heard a rolling of thunder. 1 hour, full assembly, Kuzai said as he vanished. The storm started to fall into a fury. Naruto was almost to his apartment when the rain hit. It came down in sheets as the lightning flashed and thunder rolled. In seconds he was soaked. All he cared about was getting someplace with 4 walls and a roof. He was just getting to the door of his apartment building. Chew, came a very soft sneeze, as though whoever did it was doing their best not to be heard. Naruto found a girl with indigo hair trying to hide in a small badly covered porch. He knew who she was, Hinata Hyuga, the cute girl that he had a crush on since the day he saved her from 3 bullies. She was soaked in her oversized coat and starting to shiver. Hinata? Hinata-chan? Naruto spoke out just loud enough to be heard over the rain. She looked up as he got close, her face inches from his. She could not help it, she blushed a deep red and was only seconds away from. If you faint it will be much harder, Naruto whispered. Stay awake for me. She looked into his eyes and somehow, she was able to regain her footing. She gave a soft nod. Naruto did the only thing he could, he took her arm and led her up to his apartment. Once inside he handed her a clean towel and robe, then quickly showed her to the bathroom. Once she went in he turned around and looked at the mess that was his apartment. He made a large group of clones and set them to cleaning, sending 2 more out on errands. It was barely 3 in the afternoon, but the storm raged and blocked out any light. So, it was dark when every ANBU and elite jonin of the Leaf Village stood in formation. Everyone in formation stared at the man at the front. He stood, back straight, feet apart, hands clasped at the small of his back. No one knew what to think when they heard the call. Much less why it was the copy ninja that called the assembly. A flash of lightning came and everyone felt his presence. There was no mistaking that aura, he had returned. Kakashi snapped to attention without a sound. Those that weren't already at attention quickly followed him. 2 people started to walk up the center of the formation. One was the Sandaime Hokage, dressed in his formal Hokage robes, though his robes were open to reveal his battle gear. He was carrying his legendary staff. The second man wore a long black leather trench coat and a pair of dark circle-rimmed glasses with side guards. Other than that, he appeared average and easily overlooked. The 2 walked up and stood before Kakashi the copy ninja stepped back and the 2 men turned to face the mass. You know who I am, what I am and what I have done. I know who each and every one of you is, what you can do and what you have not done. Kuzai spoke calmly as he looked around. I am not impressed. In fact, I am completely pissed off. A shiver went up the spines of every ANBU and jonin. Only their training kept them from running from this one man's intent. I am thinking about stripping you all of your ranks, cutting your pay and making you rerun the gauntlet. No one spoke, though a shiver went through the formation. You all owe your Hokage for preventing that, I trained you better than this. Kuzai finished. An ANBU, Boar, stepped forward. Chief, I and many others are not, we do not understand. The boy, Kuzai replied, is skilled and clever, I am impressed. But none of you saw him painting the monument till after he was done. Most of you did not see him until he set off a smoke bomb. And then he outran all of you. He is skilled, yes. He did it with piss-poor training, yes. He impressed me, yes. But you all let yourselves get sloppy. The group started to look around. Some ashamed to admit he was right. Some wondered about the poor training. Another person stepped up, she had purple hair and a cat mask. Chief, there is something else, isn't there? Something you have not told us yet. Nico asked. War, Kuzai replied. There is a war coming, at best in less than 5 years, and there is no stopping it. That silenced everyone, even the Hokage. That is all. Dismissed. Kuzai barked and turned his back to them. Most started to leave in quiet groups. Soon it was just the Hokage, copy ninja, Kuzai and one other person. Hello asshole, Kuzai called out as the 4th person stepped up, a lightning flash illuminated the face of Hayashi Hyuga. The elite jonin and head of the strongest clan hesitated at the insult but did not let it stop him. Chief Kuzai, I do not appreciate being dragged out in the rain. I am no longer an active shinobi and am no longer under your control. I heard you had retired, Kuzai stated as he turned to face the jonin. Strange thing is, I did not have your paperwork on my desk. Even with my banishment, it was a simple rule. Once your paperwork goes through the chain of command and lands on my desk, not the Hokage, not the jonin commanders, my desk. Then it is official. Hayashi knew to tread carefully. This shinobi was not one to be arrogant with. Are you sure you did not misplace it? 10 years is a long time. Kuzai gave a smile that put Hayashi on alert. True, very true. That document could have easily gotten lost, stolen. There are a million different reasons why I did not find it. Hayashi was starting to get ready for a fight. He knew this man better than most and he realized then and there he was being set up. But, you have still received your monthly pay, every month on time. And you have never put in the paperwork to stop payment. Kuzai smiled as Hayashi paled. Now when a clan head goes on long-term sabbatical in order to run their clan, which I might add is perfectly legal, they can keep their pay. Otherwise, you are guilty of stealing from the village. Thief, or sabbatical? Sabbatical, chief, Hayashi replied quickly standing at attention. Hokage, Kakashi, I will speak with you soon. Walk with me Hyuga and Kuzai led the clan leader away while Kakashi looked at the Hokage. He is very pissed, the copy ninja asked concerned. Our time of peace is over, Hiruzen replied as his shoulders sagged. I just hope our will of fire will be strong enough. Special training camp? Ino asked confused as she looked at her father, then Shikamaru and Choji. These were her fellow classmates and the sons of her father's teammates, there was no doubt this would be her team. The boys just shrugged as they turned to their fathers. Why? I thought we passed. We don't know, the elder Nara spoke. We just got the message, all graduates report to training ground 93 at 10 in the morning the day after tomorrow, the elder Yamanaka continued. A direct order from the Hokage, Choji's father finished. As shinobi of the leaf, you will be expected to follow orders even if said orders have no other information. The three kids just looked at their fathers. There was a message in that last statement. Choji knew there was a hidden meaning but could not find it. Shikamaru got the hint very quickly. Troublesome was the only thing he could think of. Ino did not understand at all, but she knew one thing: when her father looked at her with those eyes she would not get answers. As the rain continued to fall, the Yamanakas left for home. Choji's father had duty that night, so Choji stayed with Shikamaru. Shikamaru noticed it was barely 5 in the afternoon and there was time to kill. Shino? Choji asked as if he could read his friend's mind. And Kiba. Something is going on and I know in my bones not knowing what will be more troublesome than finding out. Kiba was slipping through the trees using the rain to cover his scent. He wanted to avoid being tracked by his mother, though he did not know how foolish that was. She knew where he was as well as why he was going. He came across an old house with a roof that barely kept the water out. Inside he saw Choji and Shikamaru waiting. As he entered he picked up the other scent. Shino was there as well. Hey guys, what, no Naruto? Correct, Shino replied as he stepped out of shadows. Okay, we are all here for the same reason, right? Choji asked as he munched on his bag of chips. Training camp? Kiba asked to make sure. Correct. My father had returned from a special summons when we got the notice. Shino informed them. Our fathers too, Shikamaru replied and Choji nodded. My mom as well. She had a look in her eye that scared me. I have never seen her with that look. Kiba finished. There is a new person in the village, Shino started. I know next to nothing about him, but he seems to have some power over the Hokage and many of the village's top shinobi. My allies have not been able to get close to him. That surprised the other three as Shino never failed to tag someone. well, almost never failed. For some reason, he still was unable to tag Naruto. I learned while listening in on some older shinobi that he is called Kuzai, and many refer to him as the chief. He appears to be a special instructor with an elite jonin rank. Many spoke about him in hushed voices. Shino finished his report. I picked up on a scent once, but I can't find it again, Kiba replied, scratching his head. This has Naruto, Choji started as he munched on more chips. Written all over it. No, it's something else, Shikamaru replied. Well, something more, no doubt Naruto is involved, but there is something else. How did Ino take the news? Kiba asked as he wondered about that. Something else blew it off completely, Shikamaru replied. I still cannot see how a member of the Yamanaka clan could be so oblivious. Perhaps she is faking being stupid or lazy like we do, Kiba spoke. He stopped to look at Shino. Well, most of us do. Choji snorted as he ate. Wish she was. Me and Shikamaru are bound to be on a team with her. But to be honest, Shikamaru will have to do all the thinking while I do the heavy lifting, including carrying her skinny butt. My sympathies, Kiba replied in a truly mournful voice. Shino, they still planning that tracking team with you, me, and Hinata? Yes, that does still seem the plan, but I have good news, Shino replied and looked at the puppy sitting at Kiba's feet. Naruto has dropped the facade of being oblivious about Hinata. Akamaru barked and looked at his partner. Kiba looked shocked. Really? Is that why he's not here now? Kiba asked. Yes, when I went to collect him I heard him speaking to her in his apartment, Shino replied. His apartment? He isn't doing anything with her that would be wrong, is he? My friend, he may be, but she is too nice a girl to be rushed. Kiba started. You know Naruto better than that. I very much doubt Naruto would try anything, Shino replied as he adjusted his glasses. What are you not telling us? Shikamaru smiled. He was the only one that could read Shino. Shino adjusting his glasses was the closest thing to the Aburame blushing. What the four boys did not know was that their fathers and Kiba's mother were hidden in the roof of their hideout. With them was Kuzai, who sat and just listened. Once the boys left, the four men and one woman dropped out of their hiding spot. Your boy is skilled, Kuzai spoke as he looked at Shibi Aburame, especially with information gathering. Maybe we should introduce him to Jiraiya. All of our sons seems to be more than we thought, Choza Akimichi spoke. Do you really think you can help Ino? Shikaku asked, looking at the chief. I may tease Inoichi about having a daughter, but I would hate to see his child get killed or fail as a kunoichi. Mai and Anko will take care of her, Kuzai replied. Who knew my boy actually had a brain? Tsume laughed. I thought he was just a braggart like I was at that age. I guess I won't have as much to break out of him as I did with you, puppy? Kuzai smiled as he looked at the woman. Probably not, she replied, ignoring the old nickname Kuzai used for every member of her family. But I am sure there are a few rough edges for you to polish. There is always an edge to polish, the chief replied. Still, Shikaku started. It is impressive how much your son knows Shibi. You realize he knows more than he should about many things? Yes, I am rather proud of him, the Aburame replied, not fazed. Your son seems to be just as intelligent. It is clear your sons befriended Naruto, Kuzai started. But that does not explain why his taijutsu is so poor. Did they not practice together? Shino informed me that every time they started, a chunin would interrupt them, Shino's father replied. Not to mention taijutsu is not a specialty of the Aburames, or Naras. Most of Choji's techniques are based on his clans, not really helpful to the boy, Choza added. Your sister-in-law should be back soon, she will deal with that mistake, Kuzai replied, shocking the large Akimichi. My boy was just lazy, the woman growled. Fuck that damn law, made it really hard to help his son. Kuzai just nodded. That interference is over, so now I suggest they start training together after the camp. Don't worry, I will handle the details, the chief spoke, and the group felt confident it would be handled. How troublesome are you going to be? The Jonin commander asked. I am going to rewrite the definition of the word, the elite replied with a smile that could only be called evil. Are you a clone? Hayashi asked as he and Kuzai walked the village from one end to the other in silence. Very good. Was that a guess or did you actually work it out this time? The clone replied. Hayashi just grimaced. He knew this guy was always one step ahead of him, knowing that did not make it easier. You are less than pleased with me, Hayashi asked calmly. I am debating whether or not I should just kill you right now or put you through hell first and then kill you, the chief replied. Hayashi grimaced again. It was worse than he thought. The chief was not here as a commanding officer of the Shinobi forces, he was here as. What are you doing here? Chief asked, breaking Hayashi's train of thought. The clan had spotted a soaked kid with an orange jumpsuit and blonde hair. Oh, hey chief, I was looking for Hyuga-sama, I did not know you knew him. He is an elite jonin, why are you looking for him? The chief replied and asked again. Naruto turned to look at the clan head, Hyuga-sama. I was sent by Naruto Uzumaki to inform you that he ran into your daughter as the storm broke, he motioned to the still falling rain. She was quickly drenched. To ensure she did not get sick he took her to his apartment to get dry and sent me to inform you. Sent you, you are not, shadow clone? Hayashi asked realizing it too late. Yes sir, the clone replied. Thank you, chief broke in. Dispel and let him know his message is received. Before Hayashi could speak, the boy's clone vanished in a puff of smoke. I must go collect. Hayashi started. Sit, shut up, and wait, chief replied as he grabbed the clan head and dragged him under the awning of a food stand. But. Do you really want to get into this argument with me, Hayashi? The clone chief replied. What the hell do you mean I'm going to be training brats? Anko shouted as she jumped from her seat. She had been sitting in Ibiki's office. Just what I said, Chief Instructor Kuzai has asked for your help dealing with the kunoichis and asked for you by name. Who the hell is he and why should I obey? She growled and Ibiki realized she had not had the pleasure of meeting the chief. He is not only the man that taught me how to interrogate, Ibiki started. He is also the only person to fully skin a human alive and keep him alive after he was done. No way. You mean it can be done? She cried. I thought we used the attempt to get the prisoner to talk, I did not know it was actually possible. As I said, he is the only one to complete it. Now you and your friend, ANBU Nico, will be helping him for about a week. Maybe I can get him to show me how to skin, Anko replied with stars in her eyes. Anko. Ibiki barked, pulling the girl from her thoughts. Chief Kuzai does not tolerate weak females, especially kunoichis. If you want to impress him, make sure you go with a focused mind. Naruto watched as his clones finished cleaning the apartment. Hinata was still in the bathroom. It had been almost an hour since they arrived, and he was starting to worry about her. Once the clones were done, he had them start to perform the katas the chief had shown him. He decided to exercise, but before he could start, Hinata finally emerged from the bathroom. She was wearing the large bathrobe he had loaned her. She looked for a dryer and Naruto simply waved to the back corner where his small washer/dryer was hidden. The clones watched her out of the corners of their eyes but did not speak as she put her clothes in the dryer and sat on the couch with Naruto, keeping a little space between them. She fidgeted with her fingers, checking and double-checking that her robe fits perfectly and covered everything. Just as she was about to speak. I am sorry, Naruto spoke as he turned to look her in the eyes. That shocked her. Sorry? Why was he sorry? I am sorry, I acted as if I forgot or did not notice you, Hinata. Hinata, stay awake for me. His request was almost too late. Hinata was already turning a deep red and about to faint, but like before she managed to fight it off. I remember when I saved you from those bullies, and how your guardian told you not to speak to me. I had every intention of finding you and becoming your friend. What, why? She asked, and Naruto looked straight at her. 'Cause you are probably the kindest girl there is, you are smart and strong, yet not arrogant like the rest of your family, and when you're not around them you treat people kindly, especially young children. Plus, you have a lovely smile and a beautiful blush. Naturally, the mentioned blush returned to her face, but she shook her head. I mean, why didn't you, find me, she asked. She was worried he would say, because you're not as strong as I thought, or, you're too much of a failure, things her family had said many, many times. Two of your clan elders, and he spits the word elder as if it was venomous, they cornered me the next day and made it clear if I spoke to you they would end me. As an orphan living alone and with almost no help, I could not stand up to two elders of one of the village's most powerful clans, so I forced myself to stay away, well almost. Here he grinned that prankster grin she loved so much. Did you realize that those bullies never bothered you again? She nodded and blushed. I have been making sure you weren't bullied as much as possible, but I have not been able to do anything about your family. He looked down in shame. Know this. You are not alone, and that door, he pointed to his front door, is always open to you. She knew that not only her face but her whole body was blushing. She was on the verge of passing out again. Ano, thank you, Naruto, Kun, my pleasure, Hinata-chan. And that did it. She had resisted the feint repeatedly, but this time she could not win. Hinata passed out on the couch, but instead of leaning away from Naruto she leaned towards him. Now she was out cold with her head on his shoulder. Naruto froze. Great. Just great, now what do I do? Should I wake her, he thought as he watched her sleep, a smile on her face. Nope, not going to wake her. Just then an exceptionally light knock came from his front door. He knew who it was but could not call, so he just tapped a code softly on the wall behind him. The front door slowly opened as Shino Aburame silently moved in, kunai in hand. The use of that code made Shino worried that someone had tried to attack Naruto in his apartment again. What he found was a scene so adorable that he really wanted a camera. The blackmail he could muster from a picture would be worth the young blonde's rage. Naturally, Shino did not let any of these emotions show. He was an Aburame after all. Shikamaru called a meeting, but I see you won't make it, Shino spoke in a low whisper so that Hinata would not wake. There is to be a training camp, you know all about that, don't you? Shino noticed the smile on the blonde's face. Naruto just nodded, careful not to wake Hinata. She might not recover if she knew someone besides Naruto had seen her like this, even if it was Shino. She was following me again, Naruto started after a few moments of silence. She got caught in the rain and sneezed. I couldn't let her get sick, so I decided to end the facade. Good, Akamaru will be happy, Shino replied. He enjoys it when she rubs his belly. Now that she will be in our little group, here he took Naruto's nod as confirmation, he will be happy to get them daily. Naruto smiled. I will let them know you won't make it. For Hinata's sake, I won't tell them too much. Shino said as he turned to leave. Once it is out that she is talking with me her family will try to harm her, Naruto warned. We should plan to drop our facade soon, and all at the same time. She will need us. Shino nodded and left without a word. Naruto sat on the couch, unable to move for fear of waking the cute little Hyuga. Trying to find something to keep him occupied while he waited, he noticed a book on the end table. Carefully picking it up without jostling Hinata, he saw a note attached. This should be a good read for you, Chief. Naruto looked at the book. He wasn't as stupid as people thought, but he knew he wasn't a prodigy or a genius. He sure as hell did not do well in bookwork. But the chief had yet to be wrong and he literally couldn't do anything else, so he looked at the cover. Pari Beginner's Guide to Fujinjutsu or Sealing for the Stupid. After a bit more hesitation, Naruto cracked open the book and started reading. Kurenai sat at a table in a private room of her preferred restaurant as she went over some files about her future students. She was going to be leading a tracking team. The members would be Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Hinata Hyuga. That last name put a smile on her face. She liked Hinata, cared for her. She knew that the girl had the potential to surpass any kunoichi before her, including her mother. If only she had not been raised by that arrogant white-eyed bastard of a father. The good news was that Hayashi Hyuga had placed Hinata in her charge the week before. Of course, his parting words had filled the genjutsu mistress with more hate than she thought she could ever have. Her longtime friends arrived. First was Yugao, otherwise known as Nico, though they kept to the general rule of, we do not know, talk about it or guess. The purple-haired sword user slid into the seat to Kurenai's left and poured herself some sake. Next was Tsume, the clan leader and alpha, queen bitch to her closest friends and enemies, of the Inuzuka clan. Hello ladies, my don't we look relaxed, Tsume started as she turned a chair around and straddled it as she sat. Seems your males have been useful. The dog woman grinned evilly as she saw the start of a blush on the red-eyed woman's cheeks. From the sounds of it, Yugao replied in a relaxed voice. You're just jealous, guess you still can't get your needs taken care of. The growl from the dog woman was loud, deep, and threatening as she leaned towards the relaxed purple-haired kunoichi. Mother, behave. Hana, Tsume's daughter and the newest member of this group, spoke as she entered. I doubt she ever will. Kuramaru, Tsume's large one-eyed partner, spoke as he walked in and looked around. I will stay outside with the triplets, he said as he turned to leave. Not going to stay? Tsume teased. Too many females, I know better than that. A chuckling Tsume mumbled the word chicken as he left. How long before Anko arrives? Hana asked as she took her seat. Why, tell me she hasn't Saduk. Yugao started with another teasing grin. She has been here for half an hour, Kurenai replied as a body literally slithered in behind Kurenai, then all the way around her body before coming to rest with Anko basically hanging from Kurenai. Ah, you knew I was there, she teased as she wrapped her legs around Kurenai's waist. Anko slipped one arm under Kurenai's while the other came up over Kurenai's shoulder, completely entrapping her in an embrace. Everyone knew Anko was looking for a reaction, which was why no one reacted. Kurenai just sipped her drink as if nothing was different. Now that everyone had arrived, Kurenai decided to get the meeting started. Although Tsume was older than the rest by almost 10 years, close to 20 regarding her daughter, it somehow came about that Kurenai was the group's leader. She looked around at the strongest collection of kunoichis in the village of the Leaf. In fact, they were the only real kunoichis worthy of the title of a ninja, at least active ones. She was disappointed. 15 years she had been a shinobi, hoping to prove women were just as skilled as men, and all the good kunoichis in the whole village fit in this one small room. Stop dwelling, Tsume spoke, reading Kurenai's mind. It's hard, I had hoped there would be more of us by now. Your little Hinata should be joining your team soon, yes? Hana smiled. Kurenai just nodded before frowning, but she is the only one. I am not seeing any other girls that look like they take being a kunoichi seriously. Don't worry, things are changing for the better, Yugao smiled and looked at Tsume, who smiled back, almost evilly. How so? Anko asked as she rested her chin on Kurenai's shoulder. Chief's back, Yugao and Tsume replied at the same time. Anko, Hana, and Kurenai all lifted their heads. You know him? Anko asked, really interested. He was the head instructor for ANBU camp, Yugao replied. Trained me when I wished to become a hunter nin, Tsume added. When asked why she called her tracking team Hunter Nin when that name had been taken by the Mist Village, her reply was simple. To piss them wannabe trackers off, after that no one questioned her and just accepted her team as Konoha's hunter Nin. I have never met him, Kurenai spoke, what can you tell us? He will beat the stupid out of anyone, Hyuga spoke. He will be twice as hard on the girls, Tsume smiled and looked at Anko. Why? Kurenai asked, worried about Hinata. He hates weak women and will not tolerate weak kunoichis, the two women replied as one. Fangirls? Anko asked. He asked for you by name, did he not? Hyuga replied, smiling at her sadistic friend. Anko smiled back, finally understanding why she was picked. So, any more good news? Kurenai asked. My son is not as stupid as I thought, Tsume replied with a grin. Everyone, even Hana, looked at her in shock. Yep. Seems Kiba, Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Shino Aburame along with Naruto Uzumaki have a little undercover group going. Like us you mean? Hana asked with a small grin. Our group is not secret, Tsume replied and grinned as she leaned back and looked out the small window of the room. There she saw Heiate, Asuma, Kuramaru and the triplets sitting at the bar drinking in silence. It's just that none of the men want to risk trying to interfere, cowards. Here Tsume stopped and gave a very evil grin to Kurenai. Seems Naruto was not as blind to your Hinata's affections as she thought. They, all the boys, seem to have put up a facade to fool the village. Oh, and last I heard Hinata was at Naruto's place. She should be fine, Chief vouched for him. Kurenai's first thought was to run to Hinata, but Anko refused to let her stand. Relax, Tsume trusts Naruto to behave, right? Anko asked, looking at the oldest woman. Far better than I would have behaved at her age. Tsume replied with a smile. Not helping, mother, Hana replied and looked at Hyuga. Chief vouched for the boy, so if he does anything, you will get to see the skinning technique for sure, Hyuga replied, causing Anko to skiver. After a short time trying to reassure Kurenai that her charge was safe with the boy, the kunoichis continued. You and me, Tortu, training the girls, Anko laughed evilly as she looked at Hyuga, again made sure Kurenai did not stand. And my, Tsume replied. Oh goody, Hyuga gave a strange giggle, something not heard often. Who is my? Hana, Kurenai, and Anko asked at the same time. The woman that's holding a blade to your throat, Tsume replied and smiled at Anko. For a second Anko was confused, then she felt the point of a kunai at the jugular. Slowly she turned her head to the left. Kurenai and Hana just gaped as they saw a woman smiling sweetly. The woman took the blade away and leaned in to kiss Anko's cheek. She then leaned over to hug Hyuga from behind before stepping to Tsume. Tsume stood up so they could kiss each other's cheeks before both sat back down. Mai was dressed in a simple shirt and pants combo with a simple black leather vest. Her hair was long and black with hints of a blood red, her face looked plain. The only thing that stood out was the large choker around her neck with a yin/yang symbol and the kanji for balance in the center. Mai waved at Hana and started to make seals, at least that's what the group that didn't know her thought. Then they realized the hand signs weren't seals, it was sign language. Hello, my name is Mai, Tokubetsu Jonin and assassin for Leaf, apprentice of Chief Kuzai. Hey boss, one of Naruto's clone whispered. Naruto's head shot up. He had been so engrossed in the book that he had lost track of time. When he marked his page, he realized he was already halfway through the book. Hinata was still asleep, but now she was curled up on the couch, her head using Naruto's thigh as a pillow. Boss, it is almost 11, me and the others are about to poof. Naruto was shocked at the time. He figured that someone would have come for Hinata by now, he was hoping it was the Jonin Yuhi. True, he did send a message to Hinata's father, but he thought that the woman cared more about Hinata than her father did. He checked his clone memories, Hayashi Hyuga was with Chief, he will have to see about that later. He then realized that the clone he sent to find the woman Hinata lived with had not dispelled yet. It's too late to try and get her home, Naruto stated. Anyone wash her clothes? The clone nodded and pointed to where Hinata's clothes were folded and ready. Well, I guess she will just have to stay here, let's try to move her without waking her. All your plans have gone up in smoke, you weren't planning a sleepover any time soon, boss, the clone replied as he and Naruto gently lifted the sleeping girl up and carried her to his bed. I need to be really careful, one wrong move can get Hinata in a lot of trouble, Naruto spoke. Not to mention yourself. The clone replied. I already have a bad reputation. This village wouldn't know what to do if I didn't. Hinata, however, if her reputation takes too big a hit too soon, her family. Naruto left it at that and the clone nodded. Soon the two had Hinata in the bed with a heavy comforter. In her sleep, she somehow found the large stuffed frog Naruto secretly slept with. Naturally the boy blushed, and he and the clone left her to rest. After a quick goodbye the clones puffed, and Naruto was again left to the quiet of his apartment. As he returned to the couch he started thinking about the book he had been reading. What shocked him was that he could remember most of the material. Book learning was never his strong suit, but it seems seals were an exception. Hiruzen was an early riser. He had to be as Hokage of the Leaf Village. He sent the two Chunin night guards home, so they could get some sleep, then walked through the doors to his office. He stopped when he saw someone sitting on his desk reading a file. Well, it is good to see you, Mai, how have you been? The woman looked up and smiled. He always liked that smile, it was so warm and friendly. It always amazed him that she could have that smile despite everything she had been through. Morning, Hokage-sama, sleep well? About as well as any Hokage can with Chief around, she nodded as she knew that meant, not even close to good. He is here to help, and fix the mistakes. The Hokage just nodded as he went to sit in his seat. Once he had settled into his chair she handed him the file she was reading. Going over it thoroughly, his eyes widened, and he looked up at her. Why did no one ever think of that? 'Cause people got lazy, was her reply. Hokage again nodded as he continued to read through the file and made some notes. When he finished he looked up at her again. She had not moved as she waited. This war, do we know who? Shake of the head. Where? Another shake. When? No, we know only that it is coming. It will be hard to mobilize the village and get them ready. As it is now we would have to be attacked with heavy losses before the village finally realized. He spoke before she interrupted with another smile. Did you forget, Chief is here, he take care of that, and with that, she hopped off the desk and kissed his forehead before slipping out the window. Yoshino Nara, the mother of Shikamaru, was headed to her son's room to start the chore of trying to wake him up. If she was lucky she would complete that chore sometime in the next 5 hours. As she opened the door and was about to start her well-established rant she stopped. The room was empty. She knew Choji had stayed over last night and she'd expected to find both boys passed out in positions that could only be achieved by two boys trying to stay up far later than they should. But they weren't, they were not in the room, then she noticed said room had been cleaned. Once her shock ended she quickly turned and headed for the kitchen where she found her husband reading some early reports and drinking his tea. The fact that he was up and moving this early had her worrying greatly. Shikaku, our son is. She started to speak when her husband just lifted a finger and pointed at the fridge. On the fridge, a note was pinned, went out training with Choji, back by dinner, no need to make us lunch, Shika. Okay, she tried to understand. What is going on, why, who, how? Chief is back in the village, was all her husband said. Shino Aburame went about his morning like normal. Because of his personal colony and his clan's general colony, his duties and chores often had him up at 6 in the morning. As he finished and put his long coat on, his mother called, Shino, your friends Shikamaru and Choji have arrived. Coming mother, he replied. he went to the kitchen where he spotted his father reading a paper. His father briefly lifted his head, and despite his glasses, Shino knew the man was watching him out the corner of his eye. His mother smiled at him. She was a kind, friendly, and open woman that his father had met on a mission out of Fire Country. In a rare act of emotion, one neither Choji nor Shikamaru would ever mention, Shino pulled the collar of his coat down to kiss his mother on the forehead. She was, in fact, shorter than her 12-year-old son, before replacing his coat and nodding to the two boys and following them out. The three boys walked in silence through the early dawn. Shino and Shika were having a silent conversation with each other, silent as in no words used at all, yet they knew what was being said. Choji knew something was up but had long ago resigned himself to never understanding how his friends' minds worked. As they walked into the Inuzuka compound, they noticed they were watched by several people and many, many dogs. Hana, Kiba's older sister, was in front of one house tending to her triplets. She hesitated slightly, which told Shikamaru and Shino all they needed to know. "Morning, boys," she smiled. "Morning, senpai," Choji replied politely. "Kiba up?" "Doubtful, it is too early for him," his sister replied. "This cannot wait, can we collect him?" Shino spoke calmly. "Sure," she replied with a grin, then hesitated. "Wait here." Hana quickly went into the house and into the living area. Tsume was laying on the floor, almost completely naked, with 2 or 3 empty bottles around her, using Kuramaru as a pillow. "Really, mother, this does not help us dispel that rumor," Hana thought as she grabbed a blanket and covered her mother. The massive dog just opened his eye. "Kiba's pack have arrived and are looking to collect him," she told the Ninken. "Worried about that rumor?" he asked, giving a doggy grin. "It is getting out of hand. Even her closest friends are starting to believe it, or at least consider it. We know the truth, that is all that matters," he replied and closed his eye to sleep. Returning to the door, Hana called the boys in. None of them turned a head or batted an eye as they walked to Kiba's room. They had all seen Tsume passed out on the floor, her head on the large dog and a thin couch blanket covering her. Several pieces of clothing were spread over the room. "This does not help the rumor, best not say anything," all three boys thought at once. Entering Kiba's room, they found it in just as big a mess, the boy out cold and snoring loud. Akamaru woke up as he sensed the boys enter. Shino went to find Kiba's clothes. Shikamaru collected the puppy while Choji grabbed the sleeping boy and lifted him up on his shoulder. Said boy didn't even budge as he slept. "Good morning, boys," was their greeting as they walked back into the living room/kitchen. Sitting at the table in a simple bathrobe was Tsume, drinking her tea as if nothing was wrong. It seemed hangovers didn't bother her. "Greetings, Inuzuka-sama," Shino replied in a greeting to the clan head. She smiled and sipped her tea. "You know where the training ground shower is, yes?" Shikamaru and Shino just nodded, and Choji shifted to get a better grip on the boy who still did not wake. The woman returned to her tea as a dismissal. The shower was cubical with just enough wall to cover the basics. The Inuzuka were known to be more nature-based than most, so nudity was not taboo here. Putting Kiba's sleeping form in the floor of said shower was easy. Choji just dropped him on his butt. Still, he slept. Shino reached in and turned on the water, cold first. "What the hell, cold, knock it off, what the hell MOT?" Kiba stopped as he finally woke up and found not his mother but his friends. "You could have just shaken my foot," he said. Akamaru whined as Kiba finally noticed he was not in the house shower, but way outside at the training ground one. Choji tossed the boy the body wash. Kiba took it and stripped off his pajamas, leaving him in just his shorts. They were standard Shinobi utility shorts, designed to dry quickly for quick swims, bathing just about anything, a standard in Shinobi gear. "You carried my sleeping butt all the way out here?" Kiba asked as he washed. When the others nodded. "Damn, I really need to sleep lighter, this heavy sleeping will get me, someone killed out on a mission." Agreed, Shino replied. Any news? Kiba asked as he finished and started to dry. Mom was pretty drunk when she got home last night. I ran like hell when she challenged the older clansman to strip poker. Our parents know, Shikamaru replied. Kiba's head shot up as he finished getting his vest on. My father was awake when Choji and I woke and tried to sneak out. He didn't say anything, but he was dressed in his training gear. If Shikamaru's dad knows my dad knows, Choji added. Your sister gave only a brief look at us when we arrived and had no problem letting us collect you, Shikamaru added. My father outright told me, Shino spoke up. He said he knew about our group and was impressed with how well we played the facade. He was also impressed at our skills. He tell you about this, chief? Shikamaru asked. Only that it would be best not to mess around during his training. Braggarts, layabouts and wannabes will not enjoy the time. Choji nodded and Kiba thought. How bad is it? Shikamaru asked. We're talking about war. The chief made it clear we are headed into a war within the next 5 years, and there is no way to stop it, Shino finished. So, no more slow, fat, and stupid? Choji asked. Or stupid, boastful and arrogant? Kiba asked. Or lazy and weak, Shikamaru finished. The good news is Chief is running the training camp, which means we can grow and become stronger without having to show the village just how much we played them. Our cover is secure except in the eyes of our fathers and your mother. Shino spoke as the boys slowly made their way back to the entrance of the compound. I am not sure I want my mother to know yet, Kiba spoke and stopped as a chill went down his spine. She is behind me, isn't she? Naturally, Shikamaru replied. Kiba was embraced in a massive hug from his mother from behind. I am so proud of you. You were able to hide your true self, even from me. That is an important skill for a shinobi to have. You boys did well. Thanks Mom, Ouch, he cried as she smacked the top of his head. That's for lying to your mother and making me think you were stupid. Be back for lunch, the woman called out as she turned to return to her house. If the number of bruises she leaves is how you determine how much a mother loves you, then my mother loves me more than any. Kiba whined as he rubbed his head. So, what did they say? Kakashi stopped and looked around. Kuzai was sitting in a tree. Kakashi had just left a secret meeting with the council. They told me who my team would be, Kakashi started. Uchiha, Haruno, and Naruto, but let me guess, train and push the Uchiha, give no training to Naruto, and they couldn't care about the girl? Chief asked. Correct. What are my orders? Chief attacked. He used pure taijutsu, no chakra, fight me with everything you have. And he did. Kakashi used every trick in his book except his Sharingan eye. The thing was useless against the chief. Within 20 minutes he realized just how over-reliant he had become on the eye and how far his other skills had fallen. You grew lazy with that thing, what did I tell you both about that? Kakashi was panting as he tried to lift himself up off the ground and just nodded. Pass them. Fuck the test if they pass my camp pass them, and then train both, the prince and the girl, train them both. The copy ninja's head shot up. Fuck the council, and with that, he vanished. Naruto woke up when his alarm went off at 6. He walked to the bathroom in a sleepy daze. He knew there was something he forgot but couldn't remember no matter how he tried. He walked out of the shower wrapped in nothing but his towel and went to his room for clothes. As he dropped the towel it came back all at once. He stood there in his birthday suit for an eternity, or maybe just a minute. Both seemed possible. Slowly he turned his head. To look at the bed, it was empty. Now he started to panic. Naruto knew just being his friend would put her in danger, so he dressed very quickly and left his room. There was Hinata sitting at his kitchen table eating as she tried to read something. Her blush spoke volumes about him walking around in a towel. Naruto didn't care, he was just glad to see she was okay. He kicked himself for forgetting he had a guest. Morning Naruto. She spoke with a stutter, trying to get over the situation. Morning Hinata, what you reading? He replied as he joined her for some food. A letter from someone called Chief, here is one for you. Chief is the guy I was training with yesterday. He will be leading a training camp for all the graduates tomorrow. What did he write? He wrote about those shadow clones you use, gave me the math. Here she stopped as she heard a thump and something that sounded like a hiss. She found Naruto on top of the fridge, glaring and baring his teeth like a pissed-off or scared cat. For a moment she was confused when she noticed his eyes were locked on the paper she held, and remember how much he lacked in math class. She could not stop it. She started giggling at his antics, then she openly laughed. A sound not heard in that village in a long time. Hearing her laugh was like music to his ears and calmed him down as he slowly started to climb down from the fridge, one eye on her and one eye watching the evil numbers. That's a good Naruto, come sit, the evil math won't hurt you, it's for me anyway, she chuckled as she coaxed him back to the table like a cat, or any other small scared animal. What is the math for? Naruto asked. Just how much chakra I would need to make a clone that could last 5 minutes and a trick to make it last longer without draining me, she replied as she continued reading. Oh, that's cool, well can you? After doing some work on a scrap of paper she smiled. I can make 2, what does your note say? Naruto had forgotten and quickly looked, then his eyes widened. It simply says, bring her, he replied, then looked at the clock. Shit, we are going to be late. Naruto grabbed his shoes and made to clones. You two work on that seal's book, don't go out, the knowledge of me using clones will get out, but I want to keep it secret for now. I came up with a prank I want to pull. And with that, he took Hinata's hand and was running out the door. See, Anko spoke as she was half asleep as she clung to Kurenai's back, resting her chin on the woman's shoulder. Perfect gentleman. Kurenai was perched on the roof of the building staring into Naruto's apartment. She had been there all night. He forgot about her and walked past her almost naked. The red-eyed woman replied, looking for a reason to be mad. You're pretty absent-minded that early in a morning, Anko replied. Now take me to bed, don't care what you do with me after we get there, but take me to bed, yours or mine. I don't care. Anko mumbles and starts snoring. Kurenai just scowled as she turned to take her friend home as she realized how tired she was herself. Hours later Hyuga had walked into Kurenai's apartment to find both women asleep on the couch, a sight that was so common that the ANBU did not bat a lash as she knew more than once that she too had woken up in the same state. Hinata just had to hang on for dear life as he basically took her across the village. Arriving, Naruto noticed he was 1 minute early, but Chief and 3 of his clones were already there waiting. Make your clones, Chief spoke as he waited. Naruto did again, making more clones than the 10 needed, this time it was 15. He turned to Hinata and she made her clones. 2 more Hinatas popped up and quickly all 3 took a pill. Once taken, the 3 Hinatas looked much better as the soldier pill refilled their chakra reserves. Chief looked at the girl and simply asked. Tree and water? She looked up as she thought, I have mastered tree but not water, she replied, feeling self-conscious. Her clan's elders had told her all children had passed this by now. Good, very good, better than most your class, Chief replied, shocking the girl. You 5, katas, take a Hinata. You 5 the tree, you 5 take the other Hinata and work on water. Remember, clones can take the soldier pills without damaging the body, so there is no rush. Hinata and Naruto watched as the clones left with the chiefs before looking back at the man. I am sure you both remember your standard academy stretching. Yes, good, begin, and the chief once again sat to meditate. Naruto did not say much as he and Hinata started to limber up. He did notice that she was very nimble, and as she sat with her legs forward she could bend and reach past her toes, something the fastest ninja in the village could not. Stand, Chief said without moving. He looked at Hinata, I am the teacher and ranking shinobi, yes Hyuga? Yes, Sens, Chief, she replied. When I give an order, trust that I do so for a reason, yes Chief, she replied, as neither she nor Naruto understood yet. Take off the coat. Hinata looked down at her baggy coat that she always wore. For a moment she wanted to argue, Chief doesn't give an order for no reason. I may not understand why he does things yet, but I do. He always has a reason, Naruto whispered. Hinata just nodded as she removed her coat. Under she wore a sleeveless training shirt over a white tee, simple and perfect for training. Good, full counts begin, Naruto groaned and started. A full count was a mix of many exercises combined into one, jumping jacks to squats to leg thrusts, push-ups, and back. Designed to train you up and wear your ass out. About half an hour in, Hinata panting, how many do we? Till, Chief, is tired, Naruto panted back. Slow down, find the pace for you. What, why? She asked. This, hell, is not about speed, or the total number you can do, Naruto growled. It is about how long you can last, and if you need to vomit, just do it. No one will say anything, and if they do, I bet he will make them join us. The full counts lasted. Who knew how long, and both kids were getting slower, though neither lost their breakfast yet. The ding was a welcome sound as Naruto collapsed, followed by Hinata. Stretch out so you don't cramp, Chief spoke for the first time as he stood. How long? Naruto asked as he worked his hamstring. About 6 hours, Chief smiled. Not bad. I believe the only other kid that can do that around your age is named Lee. I heard of him, he is on my cousin's team, Hinata replied. So, I have heard, get ready. First group dispelling, Chief replied, and soon Naruto got a rush. He was better at walking trees. Now for the water, Naruto smiled as he looked at Hinata. Her rush was not as strong as she only had one clone where Naruto had 5. Woohoo, we did it, Hinata-chan, we can walk on water. Hinata smiled as Naruto did his victory sign, then grabbed his head as the final team dispelled. Good both of you, Chief spoke as he saw Hinata look at him. Now follow. He started walking at a relaxed pace, taking them deep into the woods. They walked in silence, Naruto, because he knew now was not the time to talk, Hinata because she did not know what to make of the man. He led them to another clearing. In the center was a stone block 30 meters tall and 7 wide. It had a coarse texture, but it was smooth. In fact, there was not a single seam, as if it had been carved from a single piece of stone. Walk, do not run or jump. Walk up the side to that halfway line, Chief spoke, pointing to an orange line painted halfway up. Take all the time you need. And with that he started walking slow and steady. Hinata and Naruto both looked at it with hesitation. One slip and it would but he a fun landing. Then they both started to walk. Not even halfway to their destination they realized, walking was harder. It took more concentration and focus. Naruto was already sweating and swearing under his breath. Though she was not known for using that kind of language, Hinata was agreeing with every curse Naruto said. Both made it to the line sweating and panting, and grateful. Chief took his time walking to the stone, and they realized he did that to give them time to recover. Chief stood there as if this was nothing as he stared, sideways, out over the treetops. Begin your katas, take your time. As soon as you complete them 3 full sets you are dismissed, Chief spoke, and then he started doing his personal kata. Naruto started his style that the Chief was having him learn. The sweat started to pour from him. He looked over and saw that Hinata was no better as they both went very slow through each move. Hiruzen was impressed as he watched with his crystal ball. He had been a genin for almost a year before he could begin the training on the stone. It was almost 2 years out of the academy before Minato first went up the stone from hell, as he called it. To see Naruto there on just his 2nd day of training with Chief showed him that the faith that he and Minato placed in the young blonde was justified. The civilian villager may not understand it, but as soon as this information gets out there will not be a single ANBU that will disrespect the boy. The next thing that shocked was the Hyuga girl. The Hokage knew why Chief was pushing the girl and what interest he had in her was, but to see her on the side of that wall first training day with the Chief, wait till Hayashi learns this, is that Naruto and... That's Hinata, Hayashi's girl, Kakashi asked. He had slipped in the window behind the Hokage. Are they already on the wall? At the mention of the wall, the ANBU that were always stationed around him actually broke their cover. Chief would chew them out later, and came to crowd around the orb shocked as they watched. Naruto, Hiruzen started. Only need a little motivation. To raise a lot of hell, one of the ANBU whispered in reply. The Hokage looked around at the stunned faces. And smiled at the ANBU's slip. Why so shocked? Naruto has been slipping into the tower past all your defenses and stealing my hat since he was 8, I warned you all not to underestimate him. The walk back down was even worse, and when Naruto and Hinata finally reached the bottom they both hit their knees. Naruto even kissed the dirt. Hinata just all but passed out. Take her to the springs, she needs to soak cause her body will be sorer than yours and she runs a risk of harming herself more. Chief spoke calmly as he reached the ground. He had gone from stone wall to ground in one step without breaking stride. I am sure there will be someone to take her into the bath waiting for her. Hiruzen actually blushed as he knew he had been caught watching the training. Naruto's head shot up confused. Most people don't heal or recover like you, Naruto. You have your clan's healing factor. Add the fox, the Hokage stiffened, to that and you recover in a fraction of the time of a normal person. You will simply walk or sleep off things that can and have killed older better trained shinobi. I never, really? Naruto asked. Most take days or weeks to recover from a broken arm. You were healed after a night's sleep, remember? Chief smiled. How did you know about? Boy, I take my job very seriously, and such I learn all I can about my students. Now take her to the hot springs, and with that Chief vanished. She wasn't fully asleep, but she was almost there as he somehow got her on his back in a piggyback. Then he noticed her heavy coat was hanging on a tree branch. I thought we left that at the other clearing. Oh yeah, Chief. So, he grabbed it and carried her out of training ground 93 and through the village. Some villagers scowled at him but most just ignored him. He did notice some ANBU, he had a knack for spotting them, but was kind of shocked when a couple actually nodded their heads in a respectful manner. He did not know how fast some news traveled. Waiting at the springs was Kurenai. Yugao had told her that Hinata would be coming and would need some help soaking. Anko had come along and was actually standing by her friend, instead of hanging on her back like normal. Close by the red-eyed woman noticed the Nara, Aburame, and Akimichi heirs along with Kiba. Tsume's son waiting. Seems she was not the only one notified. Greeting Jonin Yuhi, Naruto started noticing who was waiting for them. I apologize for last night. I was not expecting Hinata to stay all night and planned for you to come and collect her when my clone found you. I swear I was very respectful of Hinata. The first words out of his mouth shocked the Yuhi. Don't worry, brat, Anko spoke. Kurenai knows she camped out on a rooftop and watched you all night through your apartment window, and she laughed as Kurenai spun and glared at her friend. Thank you, Mr. Uzumaki, Kurenai spoke after a minute. I will take her from here. I am told she had some strenuous training. Ma'am, Naruto started. If I wasn't 100% sure of him I would swear he is trying to kill us with how tough our training was today. No one spoke as he slides the now sleeping Hinata, with a smile and a light blush on her face, off his back and into the arms of a concerned woman. Anko, the scary-looking woman in Naruto's mind, just smiled as she followed her friend into the woman's bath. Naruto moved over to where his friends were and led them into the men's bath. Peeper on the wall, Naruto called out as he walked into the men's side and spotted a man trying to force a hole open in the bamboo. Want us to deal with him? The man spun around with a scowl. He was short, skinny with drunk eyes. Naruto and the boys had heard of the super pervert called Jiraiya, and this was not him. Just then the tail of a massive-sized snake came over the fence, wrapped around the man and threw him out of the hot springs, followed by a very shrill shriek from the peeper. We got it, thank you, Naruto recognized the crazy lady's voice. Once all the boys were in the water, Naruto gave a massive sigh as his aching body found relief. The boys watched him closely. Really that bad? I have never seen you that wore out, Choji asked as he snacked on a few treats. Be ready tomorrow, Naruto replied. I think this guy will redefine the word workout. Closing his eyes, find anything? No, Shikamaru replied. Your tips about sneaking into the records room really helped, but it was hard. I have no idea how you can get in that tower so easy. Seems I have a skill, Naruto smiled. Yes, Shino replied. But to the point, Chief Kuzai's file was not there. I am thinking an elite shinobi like him, his file will be hidden in the Hokage's personal files, which means breaking into his office, something only you seem to be able to do. Guess it will have to wait till after the camp then, Naruto spoke. No time tonight, as we will all need all the rest we can get. The morning was quiet, calm, and cool. There were no clouds in the sky, but the air held no warmth. It did hold something though, and those with more than 2 brain cells could feel it. Don't open the store, we are closed today, Teichi called out. To say his daughter was shocked was an understatement. She was half a step away from calling the hospital. He could be having a seizure, stroke, or something. If not, he might be an enemy shinobi, and I need to all the ANBU, thought as she quickly went to find her father. She found him in his back office, turning the dial and opening a safe he had not touched in years. The look on his face was of serious concentration. Pulling a red leather book, he opened it and read. Good, I have everything, he thought as he closed the book and turned to head out of his office with it and locked eyes with his worried daughter. Hiruzen could not sleep. Well, that was a lie. He slept dead and solid. He just woke up at 4 in the morning, charged and ready to go. He hadn't felt this in years and was thinking that it was Chief's doing. He got dressed, putting his battle armor on and summoning Enma, who quickly turned into the staff. The Monkey King did not speak much, he too could feel the air. Ash walked into the tower at 5. He was greeted by shocked faces as this was rather early for him still. Hokage-sama, a Chunin spoke as she stood. Is there something going on? Why do you ask? He tested her. Well, you're not here normally this early. There seems to be an energy in the air like a storm is just waiting to break, she started. And Ichiraku's is closed, yet he and his daughter are there, and they seem to be working in a mad rush. The Hokage just smiled. So, you too feel it, Teichi, good. The old man thought with a smile. Good, thank you for the report, I will be in my office. The Hokage simply replied as he went to his office door. At the door he stopped again. This was the second time in 2 days someone was in his office this early and no one in the tower seemed to know. But this time it was different. Opening the door slowly, he spotted some of the ANBU hidden as they watched. In the office, sitting on his desk, was Naruto. There standing around him and looking at the Hokage was Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba and Shino. Course he barely saw Shino. It is early, boys, and you have a training camp in a few hours. You should still be sleeping or getting some food. You will need both, the Hokage spoke as he walked around his desk to sit. We are ready, Gigi, Naruto smiled. I thought you said you would not try to get the file till after the camp? Hokage asked with a grin. That is still the plan, Naruto replied. Unless you want to hand it over now, save us the trouble and save your ANBU the embarrassment. There was a stir around the room. Shika just grinned. Naruto had literally just called out the ANBU with that one. No, Hokage replied simply. That is what I thought. Wouldn't be a challenge if you did, Naruto smiled. And would not be as fun. I am here for a second reason. A thought I had last night. The Hokage sat up and listened. I am going to tell them, Naruto pointed at his friends. And Hinata too. I just figured it would be easier to ask permission, the Hokage thought on his words. His law had been as much trouble as it was helpful, so Tsume told him regularly. He knew it would not stay secret forever, and these boys proved to be his friends, even risking sneaking into the Hokage's office with him. Very well. And Naruto told the boys about the fox, and about his mother. Wait, you really are a Uzumaki? Choji asked. Yes, why? Naruto replied. It is a long story, just know the resentment some of my clan gave you was they thought you were just using their name. The Akimichi clan was very close to the old Uzumaki clan. Oh. Naruto replied, not sure how or what to think. We better get going, Shika spoke, checking his watch. So, you guys don't care about the fox? Naruto asked. It seems that is why my allies refused to tag you, Shino commented. Or why you always had a scent of a fox, Kiba added. It explains why you have far too much energy, as troublesome as it is at times, Shika spoke with a sigh. Nope, don't care about the fox, Choji simply stated. I hope Hinata feels the same, Naruto smiled. Let's get moving, we still need food. Sakura had not felt this full in a long time. Her mom had woken her up about 7 and got her ready. The pink-haired girl could sense there was something off but could not guess why her mother was so tense. Then when she came from her room dressed, her mother had forced her to eat breakfast. Sakura like always looked for something very light with her diet, but mom refused. The fight was on, and after 10 minutes Sakura found herself eating more food at one meal than she had since her diet started. She noticed it was all healthy foods but with a lot of calories as well. When asked why she had to eat this much and completely destroy her diet, all her mother said was, "You will need it." So now at 9:30, she was walking on her way to Training Ground 93, which was further out of the village proper than she had ever gone. Truth is, her like many, hadn't even heard of Training Ground 93. She spotted Ino up ahead and jogged a little to catch up. Sakura noticed she too looked like she was still working through a full-course meal. Ino pig, billboard head, they called out to each other but did not have the same fire. This whole day felt foreboding. Walking the rest of the way in silence, and as they reached a trail leading into a densely wooded area, they met 2 jonin, one Sakura. Recognized as Kurenai Yuhi, the genjutsu mistress of the village. Names? The older woman asked. Ino Yamanaka, Sakura Haruno, the girls said together. The jonin just handed a name tag to each girl. The guy that stood beside the woman had a lit cigarette and a beard. Follow the path to the clearing, can't miss it. Neither of the 2 jonin seems impressed with the girls. Truth was, they were not at all impressed, and the 2 girls quickly started walking the path. After what felt like forever, they arrived in a clearing. To one side stood most of their class, including many of their competition, i.e. the girls that were gunning for Sasuke. To the other side was a group: Shino Aburame, Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, Kiba Inuzuka and Hinata Hyuga all sat together with the loser Naruto as they. What, are they really going through the academy stretches? Ino asked, confused. Looks like it, man. Choji is so fat, Sakura whispered. Hinata had woken early and gotten prepared quickly. She was still blushing a little about when Naruto carried her, as she was so tired from the chief's training. She still had not made up her mind about him yet. He seemed like a perfect instructor, never belittling her and very patient, but she also felt that he was holding something back in regard to her, but she could not figure out what it could be. Hinata joined her guardian Kurenai for a solid filling breakfast, a larger than normal breakfast, but Hinata did not ask somehow. She knew she would need it. Then the 2 went to leave together, only to find Naruto and his friend waiting. Naturally, Hinata blushed a deep red but was able to stay awake. Well, I am sure you know everyone, Naruto started. Shino, Shika, Choji, and Kiba, you know Hinata-chan. Hinata-chan, these are the guys, and we are hoping you would like to join our little group of outcasts and misfits. She giggled at the introduction and gave a nod as she reached to rub the belly of the small white dog that had jumped from his master, walked over to her and simply rolled on his back. That's good, 'cause with Naruto and Kiba in this group we need all the smart people we can get to make up for it, Choji joked, earning a pained moan from both boys mentioned but smiles all around. Since it seems you have an escort, I will leave you here, Hinata. See you soon. Kurenai spoke as she vanished in a swirl of leaves. The 6 kids quickly started to walk. They knew they would be early, but both Naruto and Hinata were sure it would be best. Arriving at the entrance to the training ground, they met Kurenai and a man with a beard and a lit cigarette. "We will be assisting in the camp. Take your badge and head in," Chief said to head to the lake clearing. The man spoke as Hinata and Naruto both nodded and led the way. They were early and the first ones there. The clearing next to a massive lake felt eerie. "I feel as if we are being watched," Shino spoke as he looked around. "I feel that the test has started already." Choji also looked around. "We should go through this as if the training started the moment we took our name tags. We should be ready for an attack from now on," Shika spoke after a moment of thought. Kiba tensed as he watched the empty woods and lake. "How should we proceed?" "We should stretch and get ready," Hinata offered. "Chief likes to start with heavy workouts." "Yeah, my guess is he plans to run us to the ground today." Did anyone else besides me notice that the mandatory part was written only for today? "No," Kiba replied. Shikamaru pointed it out, Choji admitted. "Yes," both Shika and Shino said together. And Hinata just nodded. "So, stretching?" Kiba asked as he put his partner down. "Any form of stretching we can think of," Shika nodded. "Not just the basics." And so, the group started going through all their stretches, including some from Choji's family, and Kiba walked and helped them work through the stretches his family used that helped them walk and run on all fours. People started to arrive, including some adults. The adults looked at the 6 and looked somewhat impressed. The other kids from their class simply stared, some laughing at them, others waving them off as if they were bugs. Hinata was starting to get shy again when Naruto, "Hey, it is just us here, the rest doesn't matter. You and I know what the chief will do, our friends are trusting us about them." Then the boy smiled. "Do you really think he will tolerate them and their actions?" Hinata shook her head then smiled as she went back to her stretching. When the kitty pink and bleach blonde arrived, the group was sitting. Choji had his legs in front of him and was reaching for his toes, but due to his family girth did have trouble. Naruto just smiled and sat before one of the large boy's feet and reached to grab the boy's wrist. Kiba followed suit with his other hand and they slowly and safely helped the boy stretch. No words used, no jokes made, this was not the time for them. And when Sakura's words reached them, Naruto just stared the upset boy down and somehow calmed him. "The sticks are going to learn, you may not be the fastest or the agilest, but no one can go pound for pound with you in our class in terms of power. We promise to help you gain some more speed and flexibility, and I never go back on my word." The blonde moron spoke and somehow Choji just smiled. Standing up, the group could feel they were ready, almost ready. Naruto whispered in correction. "You can never be ready for the chief, he will change it up just to mess with you." At last the last member of the class arrived, the prick as Naruto called him. There was a time when beating the boy and being respected by him meant everything to Naruto, and that only ended 2 days ago. Schoolyard games stay on the schoolyard. Naruto had thought about those words a lot, and then he thought about all the time he spent wanting to beat Sasuke. Time wasted is what Naruto came up with. He still wanted to beat him, but not for respect or anything. The prick was still a prick, but Naruto was not going to lose any more sleep over it. He had more important people to worry about. A ding was heard as it turned 10 that morning. A gust of wind blew, and next thing anyone knew there were the chief, black glasses and dark leather coat, standing before 3 other people. The crazy woman from last night, a woman with a kind face with long purple hair. And an ANBU wearing a dog mask. Behind them stood the Jonin-esque Kurenai, the man with the beard, a sickly-looking one, and a guy with a sunbon in his mouth. The group of kids slowly moved forward as they waited. Sasuke stayed in the back and thought this was a waste of his training time. Naruto and crew did not move forward, just watched and waited. The minutes ticked by as they waited. Chief did not move as he stood there, arms crossed as if he was waiting on something. The green blurs came from the trees. A man in ugly green spandex with large eyebrows and an ugly bowl cut stood with another kid that was dressed just like him, an eyesore that Naruto had not thought possible. Behind them stood 2 more, a girl in a cheapao and dark pants with her hair set in two buns. The guy beside her wore a beige shirt and short pants, his long hair was pulled back and he looked both bored and interested at the same time. "That is Team 9, Hinata started to whisper. "That's Guy Mato, a taijutsu specialist. The kid dressed like him is Rock Lee, the girl is Ten. She is known to be able to hit her target regardless of what she throws over great distances. The other boy is Niji, my cousin." At this Naruto growled. "I don't know why they are here, they have been a genin team for a year now." Hinata finished, not hearing Naruto nor noticing how Choji had to grab the blonde. "Guy, why are you here?" Chief spoke. "Could not pass up a chance for my students to train with the great Chief Kuzai." He looked like he wanted to say more, to scream his reply, but Chief's look seemed to stop them. "Did they volunteer?" "The rest were ordered here by the Hokage, but your kids, if they don't volunteer I won't let them join." "Yes, Chief, I made it clear it was their choice if they came." "Good, even with everyone else complaining those three are not allowed to say a word about the hell they are about to endure." Chief spoke calmly as he pointed to the other teachers. "Ladies, meet Anko, she tells you to do something, do it, only I can stop her, and she already knows what I won't allow." The smile that slowly stretched across the woman's face could only be called evil. All the girls shuddered, even Ten. Hinata knew a friend of Kurenai she may be while in control that would not save her. "With her is Yugao, maybe she will show mercy." Chief continued the introduction. Yugao just looked at the girls with pure contempt. "Boys, this is Dog, you won't find many better in the village," Chief finished. Kiba whispered. To his crew, "Mom told me about him, she said he is the best ANBU ever had." Chief seemed to pick the best and meanest for his assistants. "Now, run." Chief pointed to a path that went along the lake. Sasuke and the lead boy started on a fast hard sprint, but Guy pulled Lee back. Some of the other boys followed the Uchiha. "Move it, bitches," Anko called out as she produced a large bamboo cane and smacked Ino on the back of the thigh. Yugao just produced her own bamboo and cracked it over another girl, causing them to scream and start running. "We stay in a group," Choji sets the pace, Naruto ordered, quickly getting everyone moving. Choji, Chief cares more about endurance than speed. "Set the pace to something you can do for hours, but remember, do not go light." The big one just nodded as he set a hard but sustainable pace, falling in line nearer the back. The sound of the bamboo canes meeting flesh and the screams of the girls filling the air. Dog, it seems, had also produced his own rod and started striking any boy that would start to slow. The other Jonin had simply vanished. "We will do the same," Guy spoke. Ten, you set our pace, eyes open." Naruto heard as he gave a quick peek back, at the older kids fell into line at the back. The blonde noticed the hate in Nage's eyes as he stared at Hinata's back, causing the blonde to quietly shift the group so Hinata was in the middle surrounded by the other five. Not 10 minutes into the mark, a scream was heard as the Jonin with the Senbon and the sickly-looking one attack a few students with canes. "You were right, Shika," Naruto spoke as now the group was watching for the next attack. "I just used the information you gave me. Chief combines training, the most amount in as little time as possible. Now we run while having to observe our surroundings," he replied. "Do we fight back?" Kiba asked. "We shall find out now," Shino answered as the smoker attacked from a bush with a cane. Choji used a multi-size jutsu of his family to enlarge and strengthen his forearm to take and block the strike, and Naruto came around to throw a punch. Crack! The bamboo smacked his head and Anko came from the shadows. "You can block, dodge and evade, but you cannot attack. Keep running, brats," and again she caned Naruto. They never stopped or slowed their pace, so the Jonin moved away. The group just kept the pace as Kiba put the dog down, having him run as well. It was endless, the attacks, the screams, the crying, and the run itself had all their muscles screaming for a rest. They passed several kids that were barely jogging that had uncontrollable tears and welts, many bleeding. They came across Ino and Sakura holding each other up and barely jogging. Anko was following them at a walk, waiting. Seems if you put effort into it then no matter how slow you went you did not get struck. The welts and bruises on the two girls made it clear they were Anko's favorites. Naruto saw him, they had caught up with Sasuke as they finished doing the single lap around the massive lake. He was bleeding and limping but still looking at everyone with a scowl. As he and a few of the faster boys, all beaten and bloody, started to slow, Naruto urged his friend to keep going and start the second lap. "Did I say you could stop?" Chief asked as he struck everyone. One of the boys that stopped hard with his own cane. 3 times they went around the lake, everyone had a bruise or two, everyone except Hinata. Naruto had taken many hits that were aimed at her. "Stop, rest, 10 minutes, Chief called and the kids dropped, well all but Naruto and Lee, but even they were winded. "Ah, the little princess is untouched," Anko cried as she charged at Hinata again. He was done. Naruto growled and caught the cane in his hand, wrenching it from Anko he swung it and cracked the crazy lady on her head. "Damn it, you little," she cried as he grabbed her head and pulled a kunai. "I said rest," Chief spoke as he walked up behind Anko. The woman just growled and walked away, catching the cane as Naruto just stared at her while he threw it back. Chief too left and Naruto just took a deep breath. "How far, Shika?" "About 3 miles for 1 lap, time?" "Less than 2 hours, Choji's pace was about 5 miles per hour give or take," Shino answered. "I could have gone harder," Choji replied with a heavy breath. "No, we did good," Hinata spoke up for the first time. "We kept a solid pace the whole time and are ready for the next round." Naruto looked around, half the kids were laying down, many crying and asking to go home. "Many were not ready for this," Hinata spoke. "Most had no idea what to expect. And they called me the dead last," Naruto replied as he took some water. "I am starting to think our village is full of nothing but fools," Shika spoke. "How troublesome can they get?" he asked with a weak grin. Anko was off out of sight as she put a small bandage over the cut on her forehead. "Anko?" Kurenai asked with a dangerous tone. "Don't look at me with those mommy eyes," she whined back. "Explain please," the red-eyed woman asked. "Hinata did good, her and that Tenten are the only ones that impress me, the rest are lazy stupid brats, insults to kunoichis, and you tried to harm her. Why?" Hyuga asked, concerned for her friend. "She hasn't taken a hit yet," Anko replied as she looked at her 2 girlfriends. "You can have all the skill in the world but if you can't take a hit, you risk your life and the lives of everyone else." "True," Kurenai replied. "But I thought I made it clear, her family has made sure she could take a hit," and Kurenai hissed the word family. "So, you weren't exaggerating, her family really does treat her like that?" Hyuga asked as she batted Anko's hands away and helped put the bandage on straight. "Watch the Niji boy, watch his eyes." The 3 women turned to look out at the kids and Anko and Hyuga spotted the boy he was shooting hate at the girl with his eyes. "Sorry Kurenai," Anko spoke. "I do like that girl, good spirit and drive, just wanted to make sure she won't fold up when things got nasty." As the break ended, a few were still on the ground as Chief performed a strange handset of hand signs and large purple circles appeared on the ground, everyone to a circle. He barked and most moved, those that didn't, were motivated to do so, by a pist of Anko and her now bloody cane. "Full counts, begin." The moans were followed by the sound of the canes cracking and the screams of pain. Naruto was ready for this and made sure the others were too. Kiba put Akamaru on his head as he started the counts. Shino looked at him strangely. "My mom would always have me to this, it's to help my balance while doing full counts without letting Akamaru fall." "Good idea," Shino replied nodding. "We should come up with something as well." "That's for later." Choji started to puff. The Jonin walked between the rows watching the kids. Anko could be heard screaming at random people. Naruto watched and he saw that she took particular pleasure in punishing the girls. Thank you Naruto," Hinata whispered. "But you do not have to protect me so." Hinata stuttered as she could not find the words as she started to tire. "You're welcome Hinata," Naruto replied. "I know you're not a weak flower and I know I will not be able to save you from every attack, but I am not just going to sit back anymore and let people hurt you just because. Your family has done that far too much in my eyes, no more." "How many do we have to do?" a boy a few rows down asked as he stood and stopped. "Till I am tired," Chief replied, "dog." The crack of the cane filled the air as the boy was motivated to continue. Then came a sound both Naruto and Hinata learned to love, ding. "That's enough, stop for an hour lunch," Chief called out. The boys stood up slowly. Kiba and Naruto had to help Choji, then they looked behind them. Somehow someone set up a few tables that now were covered in food. Behind the table stood Teichi and Ayam. As the kids slowly moved to the food line filling up their plats, any diet the girls might have had was destroyed as they ate with ravenous hunger. Naruto and crew reached the start of the line. "Hey old man, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked as he took his food. "I felt this was the place for me today," the older man replied. "You seem to have done this before," Shino spoke calmly. "During the war, I worked the mess line, between the villagers, Shinobi, refugees and everything in between. I basically fed the whole land of fire at one point or another." "This is good," Choji called as he ate while they stood. "It did not used to be that way," the old man replied. "At first the goal was to feed them the right food to keep their energy up, and the taste did not matter. Then one of my best customers gave me a recipe book that showed me how to put taste and healthy together. And we are grateful," Kiba replied as he and the dog ate. "Yes, Kushina was an amazing cook," Ayam spoke. The boy's eyes all snapped to the old man, and he knew they knew who Naruto's mother was. Hinata did not seem to notice the name yet, so did not react. Teichi leaned closer and whispered to Naruto, "You're doing good," both of them would be proud. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Support the original author by clicking their profile link in the pinned comment of the first video of this series. They deserve the love. Want early access and exclusive content? Join my Patreon community, link below. Your support fuels these videos. Drop a comment with your thoughts, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay entertained, stay safe.